We now arrive at easily the most iconic part of Kirby, the copy abilities. Ever since Adventure, these have been the defining feature of the franchise. Kirby's ability to, well, copy the abilities of his enemies has always made him stand out in both story and gameplay. How else would he have beaten Majin Buu? The rules are simple. How fun is it to use, and how effective is it? Because there are so many, I'm going to resort to a top 15 trick. Yay! So let's start with the obligatory one-use ability. All these are basically just screen nukes or gimmicks that usually do something special and then immediately disappear. The latter are some of the worst abilities in the series. Like, honestly, what's the point of copy? But for the screen nukes, let's go with the classic. Yep, we're going with Crash, everybody. What better to screen nuke anyone in the local vicinity than with the literal nuke ability? Push the button and Kirby causes a massive explosion that destroys everything around him and deals crazy damage to bosses. What it lacks in the utility that Paint, Chef, and Mike have, Crash makes up for it by just being iconic and a sheer spectacle. With just one button press, everything dies.
Return to Dreamland.
They even give it one of Kirby's most extravagant hats ever, a crown containing a nuclear reactor befitting its monumental power. Crash has always remained the end-all, be-all of Kirby's strength. But in Forgotten Land, they decided to shake things up with the upgrade system. Crash now becomes Time Crash, which... I mean, yeah. Crash becomes a time stop that trades its complete AoE destruction for letting Kirby just run into enemies and kill them instantly, increasing the length of the effect even further. Crash isn't higher because it's, well, pretty much a one-trick pony. It's very limited by the fact that you only get one shot, and its gameplay basically amounts to win instantly. But still, the novelty is there, and it's a very fun trick to pull out when you can. Remember how cool it is when you get to use the Beam super ability in Return to Dreamland? Don't you wish you could have that as a regular ability you could take anywhere? Plus a few more extra moves ahead to make it a more fleshed out ability? Thankfully, we get an edge to that in Planet Robobot with ESP. If you think Yo-Yo was tongue-in-cheek with its references to Earthbound, ESP throws it right at your face. Seriously, the attacks are called PSI and PKs. Now we just need Home Run Kirby for a complete set. Channeling psychokinesis abilities, Kirby can teleport, create an electric field around himself, and, as mentioned, control his own projectiles. The electric orbs he swings around can also be charged to make stronger ones. Sure, it's nowhere near the level of Flare Beam, but trading a bit of power for general accessibility is still worth it. And to add sugar to the tea, it's one of the abilities that the Robobot can copy. The orbs are much bigger and more powerful this time, and you can even screen wipe with them. So at least some of Flare Beam's destructive power is still intact. Even Star Allies gave its own flavor with the addition of Geokinesis, lifting any stone users up in the air for some additional impact. Honestly, giving Kirby psychic powers in general is just a really cool idea. While this ability puts on a great show for it, I'd definitely like to see some more variants being done, like possession or mind control perhaps? Taken seriously? Return to Dreamland's brand new port, appropriately titled Return to Dreamland Deluxe, brought with it upgraded aesthetics, new sub-games, and new copy abilities. Oh, and one of these.
I don't know, man. Evangelion's kind of a classic. You should give it a shot.
Now what in tarnation is an Evangelion?
One Evangelion later.
Once Kirby nom-nom-noms on an Omoroid robot, he suits up in a fancy Gundam helmet, complete with jetpacks and gauntlets. What's that? You say Kirby's enough of a death machine on his own, so giving him armor feels like overkill? Aw, look at this and ask yourself if this is the face of someone that cares. Along with the fancy new hat and gloves, Kirby can use his new rockets like a jetpack, allowing him to hover and dash faster than before. These babies can also shoot fireballs, a charged beam attack, or even a full-on... Or if he doesn't want to use his... right away, he can store it for later so he can unleash it with one push of a button. In addition, he could drop electrifying landmines, shock punch anyone who swings first, roast the enemy with fire, a marshmallow after my own heart, and even combine fire and electricity into one glorious swirling attack of death. However, all that pales in comparison to the biggest innovation the Mecha ability grants Kirby. It gives him actual fingers!
These are too many fingers.
Having a Kirby with actual digits feels wrong, and yet this somehow makes it work. Considering we're not getting a return of the Robobot armor anytime soon, Mecha feels like the dream come true substitute that breathes more life into the series' penchant for robots. With so many handy tools, a cool aesthetic, and fingers, it's great to watch Kirby embrace his inner Gundam geek once again. Hey, you want to see Kirby do an air horn solo? Whoopsie, that wasn't his air horn. Ranger is one of the new abilities we get in Forgotten Land. The idea is simple. Give Kirby a gun and profit. Yep, you just shoot your enemies on the spot and redirect your aim at will. You can even charge up your shot for maximum damage. Well, I say maximum, but you can actually upgrade this ability even further. Noble Ranger bumps up your firing rate by letting you shoot 2 bullets per shot. And the charge shot is traded with an excessive volley of rapid fire shots. But let's be honest, you know the real reason this ability is on here. Space Ranger. On top of Kirby getting the universe's most adorable space helmet, his projectiles become electrified, and he trades all that rapid firing for a charge shot that turns into this giant magnetic sphere. Not only is this attack great for wiping out hordes of enemies, but it's also an excellent boss killer that chips them down in a huge radius. While Space Ranger is fun, getting there does take a while. Ranger has its caveats with not being that strong on its own and impairing your movement while attacking. While it's still a fun ability, it's still a little overshadowed until we get its upgrades, which is why it's not any higher. Personally, I think this ability would get so much more points if you could do more damage with headshots.
Oh! What's happening? Oh, shit! Oh, man, I shot
Leon Gar in the face.
What?
Here's a question for you. Do you like going fast?
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
I must accelerate rapidly.
You know Sonic the Hedgehog?
Introducing Wheel Kirby. Wheel is pretty simple to understand. It go fast. Compared to other copy abilities, Wheel's kit seems bare bones. It's really just turning into a wheel and speeding past enemies, but the simplicity is what makes it so special. Wheel is the fastest copy ability by far, and when it shows up, the levels end up being practically designed around it. Using Wheel in these areas feels exhilarating. Kirby essentially becomes a high-speed ball of destruction that slows down for no obstacle or enemy, and in Squeak Squad, it can even gain the ability to run over to lava, setting it on fire and becoming even more destructive. It basically transforms Kirby into Sonic. You know what? Yeah, that's a great comparison. You're playing a Sonic game and a Kirby game when you equip Wheel. Oh, and a Superstar, you don't even need the ability itself to use it. Just get the partner wheelie, hop on, and Kirby drives it like a bike. No other partner has a unique interaction like that. What keeps Wheel low is that, honestly, it's only as fun as the levels you use it in. In long open spaces, sure, Wheel's a blast to use. But cramped areas or levels that need more precision platforming, you're gonna find that Wheel is harder to use well. Oh, and against bosses? Yeah, Wheel ain't exactly built for that. Especially if they like hanging out in the air. You're a bike, not a plane. Still, for what it is, Wheel's more than unique enough to stand out. Heck, Air Ride was practically made for it. What other copy abilities can boast about having a whole game made for them? During Kirby's early heydays, copy abilities weren't all too complex. Most attacks only did one thing, and unless they have some kind of elemental or terrain utility, they feel completely replaceable. Hence, Spark didn't really start off as anything special, just a slow, tiny force field that really didn't do much. Sure, we do get some good variants of it with the animal friends of Dreamland 3. Nago, Pitch, and Ku arguably have the best ones. Still, those are limited to that game's specific mechanics and didn't carry over as a mainstay for the ability as a whole. However, Superstar is where abilities start to get whole complex movesets to themselves, and with it comes Plasma.
I am lightning, the rain transformed.
Rather than functioning as a simple force field ability, it gives you the power to charge up a ranged projectile that turns into a temporary barrier that surrounds you while you move. Once you shoot the projectile, it goes through multiple enemies and does really good damage. It's an excellent version of the Spark that we definitely want to see more of. Lucky for us, Return to Dreamland exists. Spark and Plasma are now one ability, and we're getting mileage out of the lightning element that comes with it. Heck, it's arguably even stronger now, considering how much it dominates boss arenas. It's fast, flexible, and fun, just as a lightning ability should be, and we can be glad it's gonna stay that way going forward. Anyone else sometimes wish Kirby was less, ooh, pretty colors, and more, I'm Prince Stabity, stab, kill, kill? No one? Just me? Okay. The Spear ability was first introduced in Return to Dreamland. With this long-ranged weapon at your disposal, you could jab at your foes from up and down, left and right, here, there, and everywhere. Oh, and did I happen to mention Spear Copter? Oh yeah, Kirby can actually twirl his spear above his head and fly into the air for a few seconds, doing damage to anything it comes into contact with. Oh, he can also use the spear underwater. That's cool, I guess. Probably just a technicality, that Bandana D is usable that way. The spear ability will make its second appearance in Kirby Triple Deluxe, and absolutely nothing changed about it. So let's instead talk about its appearance in Kirby Battle Royale. Did the spear ability improve here? Short answer, yes. Long answer, Gale Thrust! 340 points of damage? Now that is some serious stabby. Serious? Seriously? Anyways, spear is pretty straightforward, but honestly, who doesn't like a good old-fashioned spear to turn your enemies into shish kebab? Anyone else who can use spears in real life the same way Kirby uses them? Next time your car breaks down, just spin your spear around, you won't be late for work. STEM researchers, get on this! As abilities are practically bread and butter to the standard Kirby game, it's only fair that we even have rare exclusive ones that stick out like a Dratini in the Safari Zone. Okay, maybe not that rare, but how often are you gonna find a UFO? This elusive power-up turns you to a tiny flying vessel that shoots a variety of beam attacks, lasers, and charge shots. As its claims to fame are in Adventure, Nightmare in Dreamland, and Amazing Mirror, it definitely sticks out as one of the few abilities in those games with a varied moveset. In Squeak Squad, you even get an upgrade with a spark orbiting around you at all times. UFO wouldn't return as a standard ability for a while, up until Planet Robobot. Here, it becomes unlockable for 100%ing a save file or via amiibo, and it comes with an upgraded moveset that includes super speed and abduction. On top of all that, it's just a cool ability in general. You really feel invincible when you fly around with this thing, and considering how far you have to go to find one, getting it feels all the more special. Of course, all good things must come to an end. The games can't let you keep this ability all willy-nilly, so you get downsides like not being able to go downstairs, which forces you to drop the ability to move forward. Of course, we don't need to deal with that in Robobot, fortunately, if only the ability is locked behind annoying padlocks. Guess it wouldn't be as special if you could just get it handed to us like candy, so I'll take what I can get. At times, the arrow is mightier than the sword. Being able to snipe your enemies with a well-aimed shot feels almost as satisfying as getting up close and personal with a sword. And what's better image than the cute bright pink blob flying about, shooting arrows and warming our hearts? That's right, we're talking about Archer. Yeah, I know, Kirby looks adorable as Cupid, and getting to shoot arrows from above is fun and all, but I like how Archer handles the concept just a little more. For one thing, you're not stuck in the sky anymore. You can move freely on the ground at your normal speed, gearing up for long-ranged and short-ranged attacks. You can angle your shots, fire multiple projectiles at once, and if you hold the button down long enough, your arrow slices through your target with pinpoint accuracy. No need to stand and deliver when you got an arrow as sharp as any blade. Heck, you can even use the arrow like a blade without even shooting it. But undeniably, the Archer's handiest ability... camouflage. Kirby can whip out a cardboard disguise to hide behind and becomes invincible. But he can still move and attack like normal. It's insane how good this ability is for sweeping through the arena because of this one feature. Take that, Stone. Feels like what Cupid got right, Archer did better by adding a lot more versatility and bonus functions. Plus, come on, don't tell me you don't find the idea of Kirby hiding like a cartoon character kind of cute. You know, before he snipes his foes from the shadow. Kirby 64's selling point was the ability to combine copy abilities. Every single ability, including duplicates, had a unique combination with each other. This allowed for tons of experimentation and discovery. Choosing from the 28 different abilities was not an easy task. So instead, we're just gonna rank them all. Did anyone use this more than once? It was useful one time. That's about it. There's a safety helmet? Wish I knew that earlier. Stand right there. Right there. Yeah, stand right there. But bigger. Essentially the same slow walk one-hit explosion. 25% of the time, actively broken. The other...
At least it's aimable.
Slow moving and tiny projectiles. No thanks. Aiming is a bit rough, but it makes me laugh. Useful, not very fun. Too much spread. Cutter looked weird in this game. Invincibility, but slow. Was this the proto-metal ability? Burning Phoenix. It's a bit of a commitment. Impossible to control, but god dang, it is fun! Kirby pierced the heavens before it was cool. Kirby the snowman, he killed all things in his way. It's not a hockey puck. Bayonetta wasn't the first lethal ice skater. Really busted and kinda cool. This came out 6 months after Phantom Menace. Coincidence? Gorgeous invincibility. Ninjas and explosions. A winning combination. Eviscerates bosses and it looks awesome. Floor ice cream gives you health.
Baby, you're a firework. Come on, make it colors.
Here comes a new challenger!
Oops!
Kirby's already an adorable weapon of mass destruction, even without raising his fists. Stubs. But when he puts on his Lucky Ryu headband, he becomes a fine-tuned killing machine sent on a warpath of mass proportions. And it is glorious. The fighter ability unlocks hidden knowledge of martial arts within the young Kirby. Able to punch, kick, uppercut, leg sweep, and even the almighty Vulcan jab, where he unleashes a flurry of swift, devastating punches delivered anime style. And just to round out all the Street Fighter references, they secretly gave Kirby his own. It even has its own command input and gets even deadlier when you hold it down. Why do I get the feeling Kirby auditioned to be in Street Fighter once but got turned away for being overqualified, and now this is his revenge? Now, Kirby's had more than his fair share of combat-based copy abilities. Ninja, backdrop, suplex, throw, and the like. So what makes fighters stand out above the rest? The answer? Variety. This ability offers so many different styles of combat that it feels like a mixture of its predecessors blended in near perfect harmony. Depending on the game, some of them change drastically based on how hard you hold the button. That alone makes Fighter one of the more complex copy abilities to master. But once you get the hang of it, the fluent controlling and onslaught of combinations at your fingertips is just mwah. So, recall what I said about Wheel and how it felt limited by only being for speeding through levels and not really being fun for combat or platforming? Yeah, what if we just fix that issue? Introducing Tornado, ability that's, in a word, broken. Real-life tornadoes are already dangerous natural disasters as they are. Kirby harnessing these demons is a recipe for untold destruction. Using Tornado turns Kirby to a whirling typhoon that's fast, travels upwards, and sucks in any foe unlucky enough to be around him into the vortex. It's fast, deadly, and surprisingly controllable for what it is. But Tornado really shines against bosses. Tornado can not only fly to hit airborne enemies, but using it grants Kirby invincibility frames for pretty much the entire duration. And with careful timing, you can basically have it up forever if you want. Absurd doesn't even begin to describe Tornado. Flash forward to Forgotten Land, and they did nerf it, yes, but you could also upgrade it to Storm Tornado. This makes the storm even larger and causes Kirby to spread lightning everywhere. With this, nothing is safe from you. Sure, Tornado lacks a lot of depth compared to more complex and nuanced abilities, but honestly, who needs it? Tornado is destruction incarnate and one of the most powerful abilities going. Utility? Screw that noise. Just storm your way through the game as the natural disaster Kirby was always meant to be. Kirby has mastered fire, earth, ice, lightning, and wind. Fairly standard elements that you typically expected to wield right off the bat. So the question I, and most people probably also have, is why did it take so long for water to become an ability? Yeah, I know water is an essential obstacle in Kirby games, so it'll be weird for him to just have it as an ability. But come on, even the anime caved in and gave him one, which even then took until a fan contest for the season finale to happen. On the bright side, once we do get in Return to Dreamland, it's everything we could ever ask for. Gorgeous design, projectiles, geysers, fountains, and even surfing on both lakes and land. You can even make tidal waves to maul enemies on your way, which also keeps Kirby invulnerable for a short while. And boy, is that good to have. It even has excellent utility against fire hazards, which, yeah, ice has too, but this ability is way more fun to use, especially considering how much more flexible it is. Unfortunately, as good as it may be, water still doesn't make that many appearances across the series. The only other one it has is Star Allies, where it did become an essential element to combine with the other weapon wielders. Now, Robobot does have a substitute in the form of Poison. It has a lot of the same moveset that water has, but trading general mobility for a wider kit, such as toxic sludges and lingering poisonous gas. It's definitely more combat oriented, but still flexible enough to be part of the same coin as water. So, what the heck? We'll give them both a spot here. Honestly, these abilities have a ton of potential to go even further beyond as some of the best abilities in the series. I feel like expanding how they work underwater would definitely help. Instead of just a boost to your water gun attack, imagine getting a new moveset with whirlpools and currents. Poison could even leave a trail across the water that damages enemies as Kirby moves around. Yeah, you can say, oh, but that's just advocating pollution. But if we can get away with excessive deforestation since the beginning of the series, I don't know what counts as morally just in Dreamland anymore. I feel like there's an obvious ability that is yet to be mentioned. It has a prolific reputation in the Kirby fanbase as one you shouldn't sleep on, one that lays people to rest, one that uses a very famous pointy hat.
Huh?
Oh, that doesn't get old. Sword is easily Kirby's most famous copy ability. Sure, that green cap implies Kirby swallowed Link at some point, but it's so much more than that. Okay, maybe not by much. A lot of the abilities Kirby gets from Sword over the years do pay homage to Zelda, like the sword beams from the Master Sword. But it's gotten to the point where Kirby made it his own. You got the Elemental Swords in Squeak Squad, the Master Sword in Amazing Mirror, and you saw how high I ranked the swords in Crystal Shards. Plus, it's got some of the coolest moments in both the anime and with fights against Meta Knight. Gosh, I love that Sword Clash in Forgotten Lands fight. Speaking of Forgo's Land, the upgrades we get are so good. While the Gigant Sword is pretty slow, Meta Knight's Sword just makes the whole game into a hack and slash. And of course, we can't forget Morpho Knight's Sword, which just breaks the game harder than Quick in Final Fantasy VI. Sword feels like the default Kirby ability. Great in close range, has some mid-range, and plenty of iterations and variants throughout future games. It's the Shoto of Kirby copy abilities, excluding Fighter, which is literally based off fighting game Shotos. Sword is the whole package, but, you know, it can be a bit basic. And it might be up this high because of Fire Sword alone. Shut up, you're predictable. You want to talk about predictable, though? Because you guys won't believe what number one is. Actually, you would, because you all know me, probably saw me streaming Forgotten Land, and could probably guess it by now. Ice, a Kirby with staying power and the power to make enemies stay. Beam, make fun of his hat and you get blasted, son. Leaf, Kirby used Razor Leaf. It's super effective against ropes. Smash, says a lot when his moveset in another game is memorable enough to get its own copy ability. Sand, Anakin Skywalker is rolling in his grave how good this ability is. Cook, so just inhaling his enemies wasn't horrifying enough. Now he gets the option to boil them alive too. Jelly, he upgraded from a marshmallow to a phase through gelatin. Needle. You know, at first glance, it's hard to grasp why King DDD relies so heavily on a big ol' sledge. But then you get one of your own and suddenly, it's all so clear. The weight of the instrument, the sheer power you feel with every swing, the exhilaration when you bonk your foe. It's just
Hammer time.
booyah! Among the very first copy abilities since the concept debuted in Kirby's Adventure, Hammer has been one of the most consistently used throughout the franchise. Many will argue that Sword basically does what Hammer can with more range and speed, but what it lacks in either, Hammer makes up for in unbridled power. Kirby swings this huge mallet with as much strength as he can show in those tiny nubs. Even before charging it, the hammer is a beast at damaging foes. But when it is charged, from the wind up to the pitch, that is so satisfying from beginning to end. It's no wonder that some players prefer taking this beauty to boss fights. It decimates them like it's nothing. It kind of feels unfair to even wield it, but it's a rarer ability, so you gotta take advantage of it when you can. In later games, it can even be empowered by the elements or evolve into newer forms. Masked Deity's Hammer gives you a taste of the Penguin King's wrath in your hands, and Toy Hammer is widely regarded as the best ability in Forgotten Land with its optimal speed and damage output. No matter what shape or size, the hammer's become an iconic staple of the franchise, much like the copy ability function itself. And seeing a Kirby game without either just doesn't feel the same. That alone proves its staying power.
He's the fiery Joker, and tune in next time as we overanalyze the residents of Dreamland.
Just once, I would like you to enter like a normal person.
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video around. Please check out my other social media like my Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr. Check out my other channels such as Joshua Burner for reactions and other stuff, Dragon Fighter Gaming for tabletop, and Bob Equestria for cartoons. Consider checking below the video and donating to my Patreon, Streamlabs for my merchandise, or becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for watching.